the men from Super Service, facing danger just for kicks. Half a dozen super strong men, who were called the Super Six. Super Six! Super Six! Battle criminals and all their evil games. Super Six! Super Six! Evil doers dread the mention of their names. Down the fear of darkness, giving crime an uppercut. 5 great thunderbolts of power, and a bolt who is a nut. Super Six! Super Six! They give their all for Super Six!
Welcome back, my fellow agents. It is I, X7, your agent of Animated Awesome, and your host of Zenorama, the podcast of Heroes and Monsters. Today is a somber day, sort of. We are winding up our review of the wonderful Super 6 comedy superhero series, and I quite like it. I would like to, I don't know who owns it or what, but, a continuation and actually have some team-ups would be kind of fun if you tone down a bit you'd have to tone them down a bit. But anyway, before we get too much further into it, please like, share, subscribe, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about the series overall. Which one was your favorite? I know who mine was overall. But these were 4 pretty darn good episodes, I must say. So, having said all that, now, on with the show! So we start with, of course, Super Bwoing, and who put the finger on Arnold Hangnail? Turns out Arnold Hangnail is a vaudeville star, early movie star, a hero of Super Bwoing, which is interesting because he's a villain. He looks like a villain, but he's running around, he's robbing, and so Super Bwoing gets the better of Super Bwoing, but then Super Bwoing gets the money and returns it to Super Chief, who turns out to be Arnold. And he gets away on his ridiculous bike and balloon, which gets popped, and he has a nice old-timey car. Super Bwoing steals the money again, but then gets hoodwinked by Arnold, pretending to be a director. And there's Arnold's house. Fortunately, Super Bwoing knows movie stars, and Gone with the Windbag, starring Arnold Hangnail, which, of course, as long no publicity is bad publicity, and as long as you get my name right. He captures him, takes him back again, and falls for the same gag, and Zam starts all over again. So it doesn't even seem like it could be that much money in that little bag. A tree grows in Matzovania. So Sneaky Land and Matzovania. Apparently there's a country for where the Matzo Rileys come from. They got a whole... and of course the tree is an apple tree, and it's growing on the Matzovania side, but leans over to the Sneaky Land side. And if the apple gets picked by Sneaky Pete. I thought maybe we'd get Dirty Pierre, but this time it's Sneaky Pete. So of course they want their apple back. They're going to fight with pea shooters. It's a bomb. Double bomb. The bomb splits Sneaky Pete in half. They like that joke. There's Fort Matzo, Fort Sneaky. So this kind of reminds me, there is that Bugs Bunny where he's in the desert and Sam is trying to get through, and none of this works out, although the Matzos are not Bugs Bunny. So he's aiming at it straight up. You know what's going to happen, and it did. So finally, they have an apple growing on their side. Sneaky Pete grabs it. The Matzos throw in a bomb and cork up the tree and blow up everything. Nobody gets apples anymore. It's a little short-sighted, don't you think? Pacific Star Caper. So we get Elevator Man. And these are fun episodes because whoever wrote them really liked his noir sort of stylistic. Notice that Captain Whammo is still around, even though he's officially Captain Zammo by now. 101 crossword puzzles. Off he goes to Pier 19, right there to get on the Pacific Star. He's looking for someone who's stolen treasure, per se that. It's not them. And there's a man pushing a little old lady knitting a sock. And there is a rich man and a jock. He gets, a Billy Jack sandbagged. And he's unconscious, and we get some really strange interstitials here. I love this one. Should have used that. And he wakes up, and he realizes that it's a pirate. And this guy gets punched. They're in jail, and he has to. Fortunately, he can embiggen himself to tow the Pacific Star back to port. The Man from Trash. Now, this is of course based on the Man from Uncle. Super Bwoing pulls a Fibber McGee and opens the closet, and there's a superhero album in it. Super Service, The First Home, Captain Teddy, that would be Teddy Roosevelt, Wind Up Man, and what happens when he winds down, and Trash Man, who's been kicked out because he was worse than he got kicked out right before Super Bwoing joined, and he's promised revenge on the chief. Trash headquarters, thieving ratfinks against superheroes, but there's only him. He's like the Dirty Pierre of the Super Six, right? He blows up the chief, clever disguise, and Super Bwoing is just that dumb. That's the chief up there, but he is actually pretty smart. He makes a dummy, makes him badmouth Trash Man, catches him, and he gets a lollipop as a reward. Fortunately, Trash Man kept the chief dummy and is now using voodoo on him, sticking needles in him. Willie of the Wilderness. And there's a caveman loose in Central Park, or wherever it is. City Park. Reward offered. Guess who is the trash? This is, again, right out of the Three Stooges. The cop says, let me know if you see him, because they get bonked. They get bonked a lot. And the Prohibition ladies down with demon rum. Now, if it's set in the actual 60s, there's no more Prohibition. They look like they've been drinking, though. Willie breaks out. He gets punched again. They get fired. Now, who's taking over? Willie's taking over. And he throws the Matzos in the trash. That was probably the least of the episodes. Ship of Mules. It's Columbus. And he's there. His second in command there is Dirty Pierre. So he goes and calls the 20th century. Captain Zamo is sent out. They save him. And Private Hamo takes care of the bomb, almost. He gets smacked. The crew applauds. This is the only time I think that Captain Zamo actually gets what he really deserves. Private Hamo uses the boomerang. They tied his kangaroos down, sport. And he calls him and says about the world being round, which is kind of a funny gag, but I mean, that's a strange. I think they am on Bizarro World. And now it's time for station identification. You are watching Xenorama, the podcast of heroes and monsters on KXNO, part of the Xenorama Broadcasting Network. We now return you to our regularly scheduled program. I sure pulled a Super Bwoing there, and I put in the wrong interstitial. But be that as it may, the wrong transition. Topsy-Turvy Time Traveler. This I thought was a pretty fun one. He ordered this time machine from Captain Whammo Comics. And once again, obviously they did a lot of recording before they had to change the name. And he flies into the MS Studios. Now he thinks he's back in time. So this is the fifth and final Super Bwoing misunderstanding. Doesn't realize he's on a movie set, so he's trying to save Caesar. Even though he should see that he's on a set. So he's just kind of dumb here. There's Nero. Excellent. He puts out the fire. Then he flies into, Custer again, his last stand. They run over the director. And that's pretty much, he just causes havoc at the movie theater. Again, this one is not the best of the Super Bwoings. But he gives the chief the time machine, and the chief turns himself into a monkey. by devolving himself, which you couldn't really do. He wouldn't turn into a monkey anyway. Am I right? We know I'm right. A lone shark. So once again, Matzos. Oh, they're on an island. 1,000 ways to cook coconuts. Now, they could catch fish. Maybe they should go to the Bubba Gump coconut factory. But they see this, and all they want to know is the food. They don't even think, are there survivors? So off they go, but there's a shark who's looking for a fresh meal too, because he's eating a bunch of coconuts, which doesn't make any sense either. Sharks can eat fish. But this is pretty cute. They can't resist. Where did the shark get this ketchup and whatever he's making? Looks like chili. And Matzos can't resist. They hijack a turtle who hijacks them back. And they get back in there and they're like, swim. And you can see them off in the distance, way back right around here. 512 to the miles to the mainland. And I don't know if that's supposed to be a pelican or a seagull, but he's given 9 to 5 odds they don't make it. I don't know if I'd take that action. And the termite. So now we go to Magneto Man. Dr. Spot has invented Enlargo. I mean, they're only 6-minute episodes. And he wants to make food, giant food, which, of course, food of the gods, etc. But he makes a giant termite who's just chomping his way through everything. Poor Rover. So the chief says, and he's in England, so Magneto Man and Cal get sent over there. And there we go, zapping. But he's too late. They're trying to bomb it. This is a kind of a giant monster, so it's nice at least one giant monster showed up. Nothing works. Dr. Spot and Cal have invented a D-Largo, or a shrinkify ray, or something. Pulls it down, kaboom, and it shrinks down to nothing. And they take the shrinkify formula with them because it's not safe in the hands of Dr. Spot. Little Shredded Riding Hood. You'd think she might be a guitar player with that name, right? But this is, once again, a take on one of the Bugs Bunnies. Except for this Red Riding Hood is not an easy catch. He gets sent out. She's waiting for him. There you go. Grandma's house. It's a fake. Super Bwoing falls for it. Falls for that. And then he goes into the closet and Grandma grabs his super helmet. That's Super Bwoing there, looking like Butters. I think Super Bwoing is Butters' real father. She takes his super helmet, which gives her superpowers. She beats the stuffing out of the wolf. Zip, zam, it's great to be 60. Off she goes. I really thought this was funny. And that apparently we find out that Super Bwoing gets his powers from his super helmet. Who knew? And the Matzonauts think Marvin the Martian, Daffy, or Duck Dodgers, or Bugs. They go to claim Mars. But he doesn't have an Imodium space modulator. He just has, but they go back and forth. Magnets, he falls apart because he's a robot. His pants fall down. That joke never gets old, does it? Got instructions. It's a pokey thing. They send his back to him, blows him up because it gets in his mouth. He has a nice, a little toy that comes and fixes him up for the emergency ward. He's going to use Plan D, but they decide, well, let's just split Mars in half. They split it in half, and there's a Martian in it. It's an egg. Maybe they should have said this was Planet X again, or Planet Y, or Planet Q. Anything but Mars. This doesn't make any sense. I still thought it was pretty funny. And the Hessians are coming. Yet another. There's Paul Revere doing his not exactly true ride. And George Washington calls the 20th century. And guess who gets sent back? Captain Zamo. Wait, let me call Private Hamo. Private Hamo gets blown up again. This won't look very good on your review, Hamo. But get back in my good graces. He throws dust all over dirt. He says, I'm all here, and gets blown right back there. They're going to trebuchet him. And, of course, he's smacked in the ground and blows up. Heavenly days, Hamo. Can't you do anything right? Laura, if you see this, I meant to tell you this on Saturday and forgot. And now Hamo has to be the ball because the Hessians, the redcoats, they were the mercenaries hired by the English, are coming, and he bowls them all over. Hamo was the ball. The ball. The ball. And George wants him to do his, Zamo to do his hither, yonder, and away, or whatever that is. Off he flies, and we find out that Hamo can fly too. And that is the end. To Patty Furlang, it was fun. They could have made another season of these. I think it would have been fun. I don't know why they just did one season, because they knew, I mean, they had 3 episodes each, so 10 episodes of 30. That's not right. Well, be that as it may. They could have done another season, but nobody ever did think that way, except for the Pink Panther. They made like 30,000 seasons of that. But I hope you've enjoyed the Super 6.
Meet the men from Super Service, facing danger just for kicks. Half a dozen super strong men who were called the Super 6. Super 6, Super 6, battle criminals and all their evil games. Super 6, Super 6, evildoers dread the mention of their names. Putting down the fear of darkness, giving crime an uppercut. 5 great thunderbolts of power, and a bolt who is a nut. Super 6, Super 6, they give their all for Super 6.
Tomorrow we will be reviewing the 1957 giant grasshopper movie, The Beginning of the End. And you know what? I did not hate this. I thought it could have been a little shorter. I mean, it's only 73 minutes. But you'll find out why I enjoyed it. But until that next assignment, my fellow agents, this is X7 signing off and phasing out. And remember, you should give your all for Super 6.
We may be witnessing the beginning of an era that will mean the complete annihilation of man.
Annihilation?
The beginning of the end.
A menace so massive, so overwhelming, that thousands upon thousands are propelled into senseless terror. Panic takes the place of planned evacuation, and whole cities are paralyzed by fear.
The Air Force is standing by with an atom bomb.
You can't drop an atom bomb on Chicago.